What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Steve Daniels Show. Today, I got another interview for you. An interview with my friend Iggy. Iggy is a guy that I've known for a while. He taught me how to longboard. We partied in Colombia together. And Iggy is actually a paramedic. And the reason why I went to have an interview with Iggy is because he's a frontliner. He's outside almost every day, saving lives. Super exposed to the virus, and I think it's important for us to know what's happening, for him to bring us some value, to be informed, and I think it's something that you guys are gonna enjoy. So guys, let's go on with the interview. Iggy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Got a day off, so gives a little break.
What? They still give you guys days off? That's good though. How many days are you working lately?
Um, I'd say maybe like 4 to 5 days a week, and so everybody has a different schedule. I work 10-hour shifts, and that's really minimum 10 hours because very often, in fact, 99% of the time we go over that. So yeah, so I'd say on average 50 to 60 hours maybe a week.
And guys, I just want to tell you that the reason why I'm doing this interview with Iggy is because Iggy is a paramedic. He's a frontliner. This guy is actually on the field. He see what's going on, and that's why I just want to take this time right now to a bit know more about what it looks like outside, about his lifestyle. What are the preventive? Is that the word preventive that the people are doing for us to be good during this pandemic? So Iggy, what does it look like outside? Like, are you like more busy than ever? Are people tripping out for nothing? Tell me more.
So basically, generally speaking, we have a little bit less 911 calls right now. And that is because people are getting scared to go to the hospital. They're finally realizing that hospital is not a good place to go to if your life is not at risk, right? Because now there actually is a real risk at the hospital of actually catching coronavirus. So I think people are slowly realizing, to stay away. Um, so that's that. However, it doesn't mean that we're less busy. With this whole virus going on is that we're taking a little bit more time with every single patient. We're taking more precautions, and it's more mentally draining than anything. Obviously physical as well, but you always got to make sure you're always dressed up. You have your gown. You got like not just one pair of gloves, but two pairs of gloves, a mask. You can't breathe. Um, yeah, you're taking all the precautions possible.
And it's crazy because coronavirus is super, super contagious. I don't know if that's an information you can disclosure for us right now, but do you have the coronavirus?
So the short answer is no. The real answer is I don't know, right?
What do you
Because
mean?
a lot. So the method of transmission. Um, so let's say I'd say 2 3 months ago, we thought that coronavirus was just, first of all, back then it was very far away, right? It was still in China. It was still, and then it became Italy, it became Iran, it became South Korea, and eventually in the past few weeks it became everywhere in the world. That's why we call it a pandemic. um, but at first we thought it was just through direct contact. So let's say
Hmm.
I have coronavirus, I shake your hand, you go and touch your eyes or whatever, and now you have it. So that's direct contact. Indirect contact is I have it, I touch a doorknob, and then you touch a doorknob, you touch your eyes, and you lick yourself or whatever, and then now you have it. So that's indirect contact. And then at the point where we're at right now is that we think that it's transmissible by droplets. So that means like I gotta basically sneeze in your face, and then now you have it as well. But what we're suspecting, and there's not enough, in fact, there's still a lot of unknown, is that it might actually be airborne or maybe partially airborne. So basically, right now we're taking all like full on, like full precautions right now, right? With our N95 masks, or us as paramedics in the region of Montreal and Laval, we have these special N3000 masks with special one-time use filters.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what's been happening. I'm sorry, I forgot the question. Like, how do
The
you get
question
it? Is
is,
that
do
it?
you have the coronavirus? Or actually, because as you can see, it's super contagious. So I'm just worried because you guys are the frontliner. You, the doctors, the nurses, you guys are on the field, and it's scary because you guys are out here helping us, but you guys are probably the people more at risk to have it now because of the people that are already tested positive.
Yeah, absolutely. So the like I said, to answer your question is right now I don't have it, but that's because I'm not showing any signs and symptoms. But at the same time, I haven't been tested. Now, I'm not tested because I'm not showing any signs and symptoms, but it doesn't mean that I'm not a carrier, right? So it's kind of a catch 22 in all senses of it. So I don't know if you guys have been following New York, but in New York, what started happening, like obviously there's a huge outbreak over there right now. Um, but in New York, they started isolating people with cough and fever, right? What looks like a regular flu, they started isolating them and considering them as coronavirus patients. Later on, what they started realizing is that it's not just them. People would, like, let's say, come into the hospital with, let's say, a car accident and they have a pain in the neck, and then they do like scans, and then they scan in their lungs, and then there's like, whoa, that's coronavirus right there. So that person just contaminated everybody else because that person didn't present with signs and symptoms that looks like coronavirus, but it's there, right? So that's how it spreads so easily.
For you, I know you're a cool guy. I mean, yo, guys, Iggy is a dancer. You know, Iggy and his girlfriend actually taught me how to do a longboard. Iggy, I partied with him in Colombia. This guy was breakdancing. You know what I'm saying? You as a person, you're not a stressed person, but how would you say your mood is right now, considering that you're actually working in a very stressful situation?
So I think stress is I mean stress is a it's a thing that's very real, and obviously it exists even before the coronavirus in this job. However, I do think that it's counterproductive to be stressed. Um, you just got to be careful. So don't be scared, don't be like too stressed, but you got to be careful and conscious about everything that you do, right? So it's not just necessarily, be scared of everything and become paranoid and irrationally uh, afraid of any human contact or whatever, but you just got to be aware that, like, hey, you know what, I need to scratch my nose, I need to rub my eye, but is my hand clean? It's not. Fine, I'm going to go wash my hands, use some soap, okay, now I can rub my eyes, right? It's, did I wash my hands before I eat, right? Did I even use soap? Was it even 20 seconds, or did I just, yeah, okay, and now it's done, right? So it's just to be more conscious and aware of that. It's just simple measures like, well, now I need to change into civilian clothes after I work to keep all the contaminated uniform, if it's contaminated, because we don't know, we'll keep it into a bag and then, change uniform, or rather wash it as soon as I get home, and then the next day use a new set. It's small little actions like that, so everybody is a little bit more aware. And I mean, stressed, yes, but that's throughout the entire system as well.
Yeah, exactly. And do you feel like the government right now is doing the right measures to help you do your job better? Because I feel like right now things are going pretty much well. I mean, people are taking this more seriously. They're isolating themselves more. There's less cars on the road. Do you feel like what we're doing right now is actually good for you to be able to do your job?
So no system is perfect. I do think that the Quebec system right now is reacting very well. Now, is being reactive the the proper reaction, I guess, to have? Not really. I feel like we should be a little bit more proactive. But then again, it's like I said, it's kind of a catch 22 because you're only going to treat a disease once, like, you're only going to treat the disease properly once you know enough about it. And right now, we don't know enough about it. So it doesn't make sense for us to, be fully dressed, fully equipped, consider everybody has coronavirus, because that's going to put a huge strain in terms of equipment, in terms of timing, in terms of like everything. But at the same time, it's almost like, but you have to, because it's proven now that people don't show signs and symptoms. They don't need to have been coming back from China. They don't need, like, some people have been quarantined for a week and they still get the virus. So I think that they're doing a good job. But again, it's not perfect, and nothing ever will be perfect.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Now I want to get into some question that I got from on social media regarding this interview that I'm doing with you. The first question that I have comes from Tracy Paul. Okay,
Okay.
She says, I hear a lot of paramedic quit only a few years into their career, and there is little to no benefit. No stability, salary is not competitive, no outstanding benefits. Plus, we are in a shortage of staff. Is it true? And what are the demands that they're masking? No. Is it true? And what are the demands that they're asking for that the government is not willing to discuss?
Um, okay, so it is true that the what we call the career lifespan, I guess, like the how long people stay in the field. The average length is very short. So last time I checked, which was like a few years ago, was actually around 8 years, which is very short. And now there's a tendency for people to go for that even for even a shorter amount of time because of social media. People are getting into different kinds of jobs. People are getting more and more part-time jobs, and this is not just in our field but just throughout society. People are less willing to spend the next 35 years of their life within the same company, right? So it is true. You do get to see a lot of negative things, and people get sick and tired of that. Even if they don't get like, let's say, PTSD or whatever, it's a job where everything is negative, right?
Yeah,
Nobody calls 911 just for fun. Uh, in fact, there's a lot more people who don't want to see us than people who do want to see us. And that's just, I mean, that's just the nature, right? It's not that they're mean. It's not like, it just is what it is. The salary is not at all competitive. You can look up the rates like online if you want. Um, but most people who, I'd say 99.9% of people who do this job, they do it for the love of it, really.
yeah.
They do it because they yeah, because they love what it is. You're not necessarily going to get rich with this. Um, what else? Were the other question was, what is the government not willing to discuss, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So the pre-hospital, what we call the paramedics field, is called the pre-hospital field. Um, it's fairly a new field, as in it's only been around for maybe like 30, 40, 50 years ish. Um, and a lot of people still misunderstand what paramedics do, right? A lot of people just treat us like taxi drivers. And like my own friends, some of them, they, not my closest ones, but some of my more like distant friends, right? They think that we spend 3 years in CJEP to learn how to drive a truck, and like that's it. A lot of people think that we do cardiac arrests all day, every day, every call, So it's not necessarily that. It's a very complex field as well, and in fact, a lot of it is unknown. So yes, we have protocols, we have guidelines of like what to do in what situation, but the truth is every single call that we get is unknown. You always have to adapt, right? We're not inside an office. Even the same person who calls, it might be two different problems. um, I mean, it's always evolving as well. So there's very little recognition to like what we do as paramedics. And you see it even during this pandemic, right? A lot of people are thanking nurses, PABs, delivery people, doctors, firefighters, policemen, and stuff like that. Very often, I find that like paramedics are sometimes, like excluded from that list. Um, and I'm not trying to undermine the work of like nurses or anything like that, but at least they have a controlled environment, right? They know that whoever's coming in is possibly coronavirus like infected. Whereas us, we step into the place, we step into their apartments, their small little tiny apartment where they've been quarantined with possible coronavirus. We don't know. And we basically can't touch anything, but like, hey, I stepped on your floor, so my boots might be infected. There's a lot of unknown there as well.
This is
Um,
crazy. This
so
is wild, bro.
so yeah, that's basically it.
So the second question comes from Pascal Guzzo. He asks, how do they see it ending? Because even if we are in quarantine and are flattening the curve, and once the curve is flattened, is the quarantine over? That's a good question, actually.
So I don't think that the quarantine is going to be over anytime soon. And let me just, let me just be like honest. Let me just be honest, okay? Um, First of all, this is my personal opinion.
Yes, guys,
Does
this
not
is his personal opinion. Okay,
this does
personal
not
opinion.
reflect this does not reflect the opinion of my paramedic company. It does not reflect the opinion of the healthcare system or anybody else. This is just me in my own little basement thinking about everything. All right. Um, so first of all, I don't think the quarantine is going to be over anytime soon. Right now we are March 28th. I do think that it's going to continue to be like this, if not worse, for the next 2 to 4 weeks, because the effects that you're seeing right now is the consequence of what happened a week or two ago, right? At the beginning of our 2 weeks quarantine, people are still going out. Families still have kids that are going outside to play at parks, touch all the ramps, coming home, bring them to grandma, and like it's we're gonna the healthcare system is gonna feel even more strain in the next 2 to 4 weeks. So I do think that with that being said, I do think that further measures are going to be taken. There's rumors right now that Montreal is going to be in lockdown. Personally, I think it is going to happen. It's just a matter of time. I do think that there's going to be a curfew, right? You can't go out after a certain time unless you have a special permit. I do think that the government is going to be a little bit more strict on what we are and what we're not allowed to do. So I personally, I also think that the summer is pretty much gone. We're
Damn, that's
losing our summer.
crazy.
It sucks, but I mean, we still have more summers in years to come, right? Hopefully. A vaccine is not going to be anytime soon. Um, Everybody's working on it, but yes, they're going to accelerate the process. But typically, it takes minimum 1 year after the discovery of a disease for a vaccine to appear. Let's just say we push it down to 6 months. We're still talking about September here. So I guess we don't know. And things, by the way, are changing very fast. Uh, every I'd say every 3 to 4 hours, protocols are changing, standards are changing, procedures are changing. Uh, for the paramedics, they're changing for the hospitals, and don't forget, like hospitals, every hospital has their own procedure. So I might go to, let's just say, Montreal General Hospital at 9 a.m. and then by 2 p.m. I go back with another patient. It's a completely different procedure, right? I can't go in through this door anymore. I got to go in through that door. Now I don't bring my patients in. I keep them in my ambulance, and you got to come out. Like there's always a different procedure, and everybody is working very hard as a team to adapt, really.
That's crazy. Well, man, I actually truly admire you. And I want to go in with one last question, actually.
Yeah.
And from there, I'm gonna let you go. And actually, this question is actually from a friend of mine. That's another because I did an interview earlier this week with a
Hmm.
friend that has the coronavirus,
Yeah, I saw.
and it was not bad. Right? I mean, your boys are
Well,
recorded
it was
now.
good.
Um, and I actually found out that another girl that I know has been tested positive with the coronavirus as well. So this question actually comes from her. I don't want to say her full name, but we're just gonna call her
Yeah.
Chloe.
Okay.
It's in French actually, but you can answer in English. Euh, Symptômes, conseils pour éviter de transmettre la maladie. En quoi consiste le dépistage? Comment se soigner? Que doit-on faire si on se sent malade? So basically, this question in English is like symptoms. What are different tips that you can use to not transmit the disease? How does the testing work? How can you cure yourself? And what should we do if we feel sick?
Okay. So let's start. Sorry, I think there's like four questions in there. So I think the
Yeah,
first one was how do you prevent this from spreading, right?
yeah. I mean, the first one was the symptoms, but we already talked about it multiple
Yeah.
times. But
Okay.
how can you how can you make sure that you don't transmit that? Yeah.
Actually, it's very simple. Two steps. First of all, is wash your hands and use soap. and it's wash your hands with soap, thoroughly for at least 20 seconds. And that's doing it very often. Okay. Purell, by the way, it helps, but it's not as good as water and soap. Purell is not a substitute for washing your hands. The other question is how does the test work? So unfortunately, I actually am not 100% sure. I do hear that it's a swab in the mouth, in the nose, and then they send it to the lab. Now, how does it work once it's at the lab? That's not my specialty, so I don't know. What they say is that it takes around 48 to 72 hours for you to get the results. What to do if you start having those symptoms, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, don't freak out, because it might not be coronavirus. You might just have a seasonal flu. Okay. So the official guideline right now is to stay home and just to kind of wait it out, because that's how a flu works. You can take Tylenol to diminish your fever, but not Advil, right? Because Advil has been found to amplify the effects of the virus. So that's what we don't want, right? And if you do want to get tested, just 2-3 days ago, Place des Arts opened a drive-through, how do you call that? Like a drive-through testing. So you can just go there, stay in the comfort of your car, and they'll test you. Now, how long is that going to take? I don't know. If you don't have any signs and symptoms, if you don't have any fever, you can still go, but you might wait a very long time. Okay.
So, Iggy, thanks again. Do you have a last word that you'd like to say for this interview, or are we good?
So basically, for everybody, stay safe, wash your hands with soap and water, and remember to stay clean and respect. In French, respecter les consignes. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Perfect. Thank you, Iggy. Really appreciate it. I'm going to put this interview up in a few hours, send you the link. And
Awesome.
Have a beautiful day. Say hi to me again for me, and I'll see you soon.
I will. All right. Thanks, Steve. Take care.
I mean, no, I don't want to see you soon. I don't want to see you soon.
We can Zoom anytime.
Peace.
Easy.
Alright guys, so this was my interview with Iggy. Wow, a lot of value Iggy shared with us today. A lot of things that we have to think about. It's crazy to think that, the other day I interviewed my friend that has been tested positive. Today I'm interviewing somebody that's on the front line for us, telling us what's happening. And the goal is just for us to stay informed. The goal is just for us to know what's been happening, to not be afraid, to not be stressed. Anyways, I got you. I'll bring you all the info, So guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow for another Steve Daniels show. And have a beautiful day. Happy Saturday. Peace.